Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. And look who I have to my right of your screen.
Hi, everybody.
The other Mono, who's been recovering from medical issues, but he's back and so happy to have you here. It's my little brother and the other Mono. So
Well,
welcome back, Stephen.
thank you. The bubonic plague is no joke, folks.
Lupus? Is it lupus? But anyway, it's the first day. It's January 21st, 2023, and happy to have you back, Steve. And behind the curtain today, we have Hunter, subbing for Rob as our producer today, and he's a real nice kid, young man, junior at Temple University. Welcome, Hunter. Thanks for joining.
Hey, Hunter, thank you, buddy.
And Steve, so you've been absentee for a while, so you have the monologue. And this, of course, the monologue is sponsored by Coriano Trucking. And we got our first comment today from Tony, who's a big loyal listener of our show, and I know she's happy to have Steve back. So take it away.
Well, my monologue was based on something that Tony just said. Our loyal listeners. It's been a long time. I think I've missed 5 shows, and it's the Tony Cobbs of the world. That Tony, um, I'm getting emotional, but thank you so much for thinking of me.
Yep.
Um,
You got a lot of support from our loyal listeners while you were away, by the way.
yeah. My my monologue is a little emotional. Is we do notable passings right at the end of the show, and I'm okay, folks. I had a health scare. I'm not going to go into details, but you know what? I turned 58 on January 16th.
You're a baby.
I'm a baby, and I missed talking sport. Okay, so part of my monologue, what I wanted to do is, I don't know if you covered the World Cup.
We did.
Messi. No. What about did you cut? No, that type of thing. My only point is, I so appreciate the fact that Jim and I have this opportunity to have a show, and I want to thank Rob and now Hunter today, like things like that. Um, I miss talking sports. I watched it, right? And I just wanted to let the audience know when something happens, we're all human, right? We have health scares and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But it's a deep appreciation of the fact that I can be live right now and say, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for your warm wishes. Thank you for thinking of me. Thank you to my brother for carrying the torch. Thank you to Rob and so on and so forth.
Yep.
And really, that's my monologue. It's like
Well, that's the personal side of what Sports and Mono and Mono is all
right.
about.
But that's what my monologue is. I'm glad to be back.
Yep.
Um,
Well, we got a lot of sports to talk about. So,
again, I'm emotional about it, but I just wanted to thank everybody for the warm wishes. It's very appreciative, and let's go talk sports, and we'll go from here.
We'll
okay?
jump right into the mix here. And listen,
but I'm fine, and
oh, you look amazing, by the way.
No,
Wow.
I don't.
I just got my new haircut today, so
You don't even want to know what that discussion was like.
Anyway, so Steve, let's jump right into it because this is big weekend in football.
Wait, Guy Coriano.
Just grind.
I forgot the neck collar, buddy. I forgot the neck collar.
Old number 2 from St. Joe's back in 1981.
Guy, love you. Thank you so much, buddy.
Yep. Appreciate it. So, Steve, we got a lot to talk about with the NFL. A lot going on. Your team's playing today. My team's playing today.
Well, my team's playing tomorrow.
Well, whatever. You know what I mean, for the weekend. And it's exciting.
It's great.
Before we jump into the teams that are playing, let's talk about what's been going on in the league, right? Offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators getting fired by the minute.
Who cares?
But what I was thinking about, it's all these young coaches that are starting to say, we need younger coaches. So, Kevin McDonald and Kevin O'Donnell at the Vikings, he doesn't get fired, but he fires his staff, right? And so all across the league, Brandon Staley in San Diego, right?
Staley fired his.
Robert Saleh in New York.
Kevin O'Connell did not watch his staff. Kevin O'Connell, they were 13-4.
I know, but the defense was horrific, and
Okay, so
it
they
got
didn't
exposed
change.
against the Giants last week. Which
Oh, Tony, you and your Niners. Listen, young lady.
we're going to
I
talk
love
about
you,
that.
but I'm a Cowboy fan. So
We're going to talk about that
6:30
game
tomorrow night
extensively.
Eastern Standard Time.
When we do our picks, we're going to talk about it, Tony. Don't worry about that. So, what do you think about the games last week, Steve? How about those Giants beating the Vikings, which I actually went against? Full disclosure, diehard Giants fan. I got my Daniel Jones jersey on, which everybody laughed at me for how many years? 3 years. And now he's starting to come into his own.
I have to give my brother credit.
Thank
He,
you.
he never wavered on Daniel Jones. Okay. I, as our audience knows, I'm like, right? But folks, I haven't talked to you in a month. And then this past month, what Daniel Jones has shown,
And developed into.
he is the Giants' starting quarterback for probably for the next 10 years. Am I saying give him a 7-year deal right now? No. I think Daniel Jones will get a 4-year, 120 million, 130.
They'll work it out.
Brian Daboll, God, I couldn't be more impressed with them.
Couldn't be.
But I'm
Love
more
Coach
impressed
Davis.
with Daniel Jones and his development. And you know why, folks? It's called coaching. Okay. And he has led this Giants team. Daniel Jones, I could be more impressed with.
Thank you.
Right? I'm a Cowboy fan. I would trade Dak Prescott for Daniel Jones tomorrow. Okay.
Well,
That's how good he is.
There was an interesting thing I saw.
And I could be happier for him because he's a good kid too. Like,
And go ahead, tell him who he looks like.
folks,
Dead ringer for Jim Carrey, right?
do your own judgment. That's just my opinion. Not the mask, but
I had to get that in.
while you're
for you.
watching the game.
But no, he's playing it's coaching. And you're right. I couldn't be a bigger Coach Dave's fan and just love his passion. And he's turned it around. And, can they beat the Eagles this weekend? We're going to talk about that when we do our picks. But, the question will be, is Jalen Hurts really,
But can I say one thing? Brian Daboll, there was a shot on the sideline. And Daboll went up to Daniel Jones
in his face
with both hands on his cheeks and talked to him and said, that's when I knew, like, he's the guy. Daniel Jones is the first guy in the building. He's the last one to leave, like all that stuff. That's what you want to hear.
And
that's why Zach Wilson is such a disaster to the Jets.
Well, he doesn't have a good head coach either.
No, because Zach Wilson was never the first guy in the building or the last guy to leave the building.
No, last to show up, first to leave.
And we always used to laugh. Dick Vermeil way back when pushing the Eagles, he'd sleep in the stay like all these guys, right?
Right.
But the guys that did that, they were successful. Parcells and so on and so on.
You're right.
But I think the Giants have
Bill Walsh.
I think the Giants have more than a puncher's chance. That's it.
Okay. And listen, I didn't go against them because I didn't think, with Justin Jefferson and Cousins. I talked to a Vikings fan who said, it depends which Cousins shows up. And the guy just didn't realize that he had Justin Jefferson. He should have thrown to him all day long, threw to Hawkinson a while and made some plays. But I'm really impressed with this Coach Daboll thing. And it was his decision. Can this be the guy I'm going to go to war with? And I think he's decided that, yes, he is. And I'm going to tutor him and I'm going to mentor him and I'm going to keep him on the right track. And you're right. They got more than a puncher's chance tomorrow.
Right. So I want to say one thing. Giants playing the Eagles. right, tonight.
Yep.
Difference about the Vikings Eagles is Kirk Cousins when he drops back, no threat to run. Okay. But I give Cousins credit. He stands in there and he made some big time throws. Difference is Jalen Hurts can run. Okay.
Yes, he can.
And Jalen Hurts can make the throws.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So the Giant, that's why I'm a little wary. And again, Wink Martindale, right? He knows this. He's going to game plan for it. But the difference, folks, Vikings, Eagles, Jalen Hurts,
It is.
right? He can run out of that pocket.
Is he healthy, Steve? That's
He's
the
fine.
question.
Listen, I have no doubt Jalen Hurts.
No, he's shown that
He has a
he's
shoulder injury. Okay, big deal.
okay, but it
But
could be.
he's got the wheels.
He does. He does. And we've seen him in college, for God's sakes. That
National champion, Alabama.
Yep. So that's going to be an unbelievable
It's
game.
gonna be a great game. Looking forward. So the point about the playoff games, right? They're the best teams, right? These are the best teams,
Right now they
right?
are.
And Jacksonville, you give Doug Peterson absolute credit for turning this Urban Meyer like disaster into a playoff team. I foresee Kansas City, like doing it.
Doing a Mahomes thing. That's all. They're moving on. That's for sure.
I'm just gonna cut to the chase. I think Kansas City's Super.
Well, that was my preseason pick, as you know, if you go back to the archives
No,
18 weeks ago.
I really flubbed that. I said the Rams in charge.
I know. We talked about the potential for the Rams hangover from the Super Bowl and the whole
Shame
Sean
on me,
McVay, whether,
but I eat my medicine. I've had a lot of medicine over the last month. This is tough.
right. But let's talk about your Cowboys and their chances in San Francisco.
Very good chance. Tony, stop. I think we have more than a puncher's chance here. I'm hoping Brock Purdy has his welcome to the NFL moment. Finally.
Well, he's going to have Micah Parsons chasing him down all day long. So we're going to find out whether Mr. Irrelevant is the guy. But they got a lot of stud players on that team, and this
Okay.
Christian McCaffrey trade just maybe put them over the top. This is great. I mean, our history, Steve, you and I, we watched every San Francisco Dallas playoff game, and remember the
Well,
Dwight Clark catch and all
I
that.
talked to my brother Chris, who's also a Cowboy fan. The Cowboys and Niners have played the most playoff games against each other in history. I didn't know that.
That seems hard to.
No, but it's true.
Okay.
And this is Dak Prescott. So what I'm about to say, folks, is as bad as Dak has been for 7 weeks, when Dak gets on a run like he did
It's
against
pretty good
Tampa,
last week.
all I need is 3 more games, buddy. That's it. But if Dak Prescott is Dak Prescott, I like our chances.
Okay. Well, listen, I mean, it's a tall task, right? And all the, you do your logistics and your analysis and all that kind of thing. And on paper, Brock Purdy is the X factor. He's a rookie and can he do this? And,
He's done
Micah
it.
Parsons
He's
and the
done it.
Dallas defense is going to go crazy. And is this going to be the time where Dak Prescott says, this is my chance. This is my only chance. And I was on the fence about it, and we'll talk about it and we'll do our picks.
Let's do the picks now. I'm taking the Cowboys.
All right, let's do our picks now. Actually, you're right. So
Thank you.
let's start with, the first game. It's Jacksonville, Kansas City.
Kansas
Right.
City. At home, forget it.
Agreed. Move on.
Congratulations, Jacksonville. Good season. Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
They're going to be fine going forward.
They will be.
a force.
Yep, I think we both agree on that because my rule of thumb, just like it was, now it's kind of funny because now everyone's trashing Russell Wilson like all of a sudden he became, not a great quarterback. He was a guy I would never bet against, just like Patrick Mahomes.
Not betting
Just
against
don't.
no chance.
So the Giants in Philadelphia, and
It's a
again,
tough one.
it is a tough one. And like I said, I didn't think the Giants would get out of Minnesota, but they did. And Coach Dave's, I'm actually going with the Giants today. And it's so funny because we were talking about it. Obviously, everyone you talk about it was just at the barber shop talking with a guy, Giant fan. And I think they could pull this off today. I really do. I think when you said before there's more than a puncher's chance kind of thing, who's your pick, Steve?
Eagles. They're home.
I
I
know.
think they're the better team.
And I
I
said,
think it's going to be a close game. The Giants are going to fight, claw. I think this is going to be. It could be a field goal game, but I think the Eagles are going to win this. I'm going
okay.
Eagles. So
I know. I was joking around with somebody. I said, if somebody put 2 tickets to tonight's game on my desk, I said I would return them because going to Philadelphia wearing a Giants jersey is a death sentence. And I have a history.
what
and
are
I-
you, a woman?
No, but I do have a history, and I've been to a couple of Eagles games and Flyers games, and these are tough fans.
Big
So
deal. Bring it on.
And
I've
the
been to
worst
Cowboy
thing,
Eagles, Flyer Rangers.
the worst
Bring it
thing
on.
that could happen if you're a Giant fan who's going to the game is if they beat the Eagles, leaving the stadium, yeah, you're taking your life into your hands.
Bring it on.
And I could tell this from firsthand experience at the Spectrum before the new Spectrum opened,
I will not be denied a Pat or Gino's cheesesteak.
right? So Steve, let's
I'm
move.
Eagles, you Giants. Let's go next.
All right, Pat or Geno's. Right. Let's go to the Buffalo game, Buffalo, Cincinnati. Interested to hear your pick. Let me give you my pick first. How could you not root against Josh Allen and the whole, um, episode that they faced against, ironically, the Cincinnati Bengals?
Right.
I'm going with Joe Burrow, and I got to give you credit, like you gave me before. I didn't see Joe Burrow being that kind of impact player that he's become, and he's toe to toe with Josh Allen right now. And I'm going to go with Cincinnati in this game.
I'm going to go with Buffalo here. They're home. I love Burrow. Everybody knows that. Okay. But Cincinnati has actually 3 big losses on the offensive line. La'el Collins, who was an ex-Cowboy, tore his knee. Ooh, what a surprise. No, but they got 2 other guys. They're going to have 3 reserves. They're at Buffalo. Allen and Buffalo, this is the year for Buffalo. I think this is going to be a close game. Don't get me, and I wouldn't be surprised Cincinnati wins, don't get me wrong, but if I had to pick somebody, I'm going to go Buffalo. And Buffalo's going to go to Kansas City. I think Kansas City's going to win, go to the Super Bowl.
Is that going to be in Kansas City, or is that going to be a neutral
to
site
me,
game?
this is the best game. This is the most competitive game
It
on
is.
the slate, in my opinion.
And we've talked about this, Josh Allen and his maturity, and I was all on board. All my college guys are Buffalo Bills fans,
Bills
diehard,
Mafia.
and they weren't all on board with Josh Allen. I said, just be patient, and now he's matured into this, one of the top flight quarterbacks in the league. But he's going against a top flight quarterback in this
For
league.
another day, I read an article about Josh Allen. It's too extensive. I got faith in Josh Allen today. But I am going to bring this article up about him, win or lose, about him a week or 2.
What?
Great.
Good kid all around, the whole top.
All right, I'll just give you a synopsis. Josh Allen did not get 1DA look, Division I look, period. Grew up in California, Fresno's family, successful farmers, etc.
Ends up in Wyoming.
Josh Allen sent an email to 1,000 coaches or whatever. Nobody sniffed him, right? Blah, 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 blah. He winds up at Wyoming. And Josh Allen, then he has this growth spurt. I think when he was a freshman in college. His buddies, who hadn't seen him in 6 months, he was like 6 foot. Next time they saw him, he was like 6'5".
Yeah.
Right? But Josh Allen, this kid is competitive.
Yep.
Buffalo. I'm in on
Buffalo. I'm going with Cincinnati because I think this may be the period of time where Burrow wants to become that top the top of the food chain kind of thing, right? And we saw what's going on with Tom Brady, and I don't think anybody's ever going to reach that pinnacle like he has, and it's just the end for him. But I'm happy for Buffalo, the whole Buffalo Mafia thing, like you brought up before. It's awesome. I've been to games at Buffalo, and it's awesome, by the way. It really is quite an event. But listen, I'm going to stick with Cincinnati. Steve's going with Buffalo. We'll see how it plays out.
Shall see.
And the last game of the crazy weekend in football is your Dallas Cowboys against San Francisco. And I've been thinking about this, and I literally
27 years, folks.
right, but 5 minutes before the show, I still going. I picked San Francisco, but I'm not going to be surprised if Dallas just upsets the apple cart kind of thing. But I'm going to stick with my original pick. Whether or not Brock Purdy can deliver and finish this Cinderella season that he's had remains to be seen. But I don't think he's ever had this. Micah Parsons is such a force on the Dallas defense that they have to revamp their whole game plan to keep him away from Brock Purdy and let him throw to the Deebo Samuels and the out passes to McCaffrey. And McCaffrey's going to run for 85, 90 yards today or tomorrow. And let's see. Give me your thoughts on this. Dallas's real chance to win this game. What do they have to do? And don't say can't turn the ball over. We know that's the kind of nonsense. But who's the guy that you think is going to make Dallas win this game?
I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. He mentioned Micah Parsons, but you know what? The guy in San Francisco at right end, Nick Bosa,
pretty good.
Led the league with 18 and a half sacks.
Pretty good.
Okay? The defense on San Francisco is lights out. I don't see this being a 28-24 game. I can see this being like 17-13, something like that.
Mm.
Brett Maher, right, misses 4 in a row, right? And if you look at the stats on what he did, there were 16,000 games played, right?
How do you explain that?
You can't. But you know what? Brett Maher is a good NFL kicker, okay? I would love, this is like fantasy here, kick the game winning field goal, right? But it's happened before. The Giants with Matt Barr, right? When they beat San Francisco, I think it was 12-9 that game. The Cowboys are talented enough, and again, back to Dak. It's all on Dak. He has to not turn. I hate to say it, to not turn the ball over, but he has in 7 weeks prior to.
But he's got CD Lamb, he's got Tony Pollard, and he's got Ezekiel Elliott.
This is going to be a good game. Okay.
Who are you taking?
I'm going the Cowboys in an upset.
And that's not just your heart. This is a complete business decision.
I think the audience knows I'm okay. Been 27 years too, so maybe subliminal.
All right. Well,
we're Tony. I know you're going with your Niners, but
wow. So we're kind of not aligned here. So we're going to see how it all pans out. But this is what we live for.
The bottom line is the teams that are playing deserve to be where they are.
You're right. These are the best teams.
This is great. And the NFL, billions and billions and billions. Carl Sagan, there's billions and billions of stars in the universe. Billions and billions of dollars. Right?
Yeah.
But these are the best teams, and that's why the NFL is, bar none, the most watched.
It is.
And we can't wait.
All right,
those are your picks.
Let's recap. Jim, Kansas City, Giants, Cincinnati, San Francisco. Tony, not just cozying up to you. That's how I legitimately feel. And Steve's got Kansas City, Philadelphia, Buffalo, and Dallas.
4-0. I feel it. I feel it.
You can smell it, right? So Steve, let's move on. We got some other items I wanted to think. We bring up random points of interest, which is always sponsored by Lynch Toyota. this situation, sticking with football, this Deion Sanders situation at Colorado, and it's really starting to become almost amazing that they brought this guy in, and we know Colorado hasn't been relevant for years and so forth, and they're all migrating to him. He's getting all the top prospects. He's literally walked into the Colorado Buffaloes locker room and said, "Everybody here, pack your bags, go see other opportunities." And he's bringing in his son, to be the quarterback, right? So 3 quarterbacks from Colorado have entered the transfer portal, and he's getting the top recruits. Is this about does this seem legitimate that this could really happen? That all of a sudden the top talent in the world wants to go to Colorado? Or is it because Colorado is emptying the vault and paying these guys to do it? We know this has
They're
changed.
going to Colorado because of Deion Sanders. Now, Deion Sanders, I've always been a fan of him. I really have.
As a player, no question. When we talk about Hall of Fame, his name comes up, we go, yes, move on, next.
Talking as a person too. Okay, Deion Sanders,
It's a character.
like Bo Jackson, in our lifetime, the 2 best athletes I've ever seen.
Herschel Walker, maybe.
Well, I'm talking, these 2 played professional baseball too.
I know.
Now, Deion Sanders went to Jackson State, blah, blah, blah. But he lands the the 3rd top recruit last year goes to Jackson State, who was committed to Florida.
Was it Travis Hunter?
He just landed this kid McLean, who is the #1 guy
cornerback
in the country.
I know.
I'm telling you, the Colorado Buffaloes are going to make noise. They're going there because of Deion Sanders.
But is it becoming something that we never foresaw?
This never would have happened with the the name, likeness, and stuff, and all this stuff. Okay, but to answer your question, Colorado, remember, folks, played Notre Dame. They won the national champ. They won the national champ, I think, the year before. Rocket Ismail, the penalty on the kick return. Notre Dame would have won. Blah blah blah. They did.
No.
That's the last. It was '92. That's the last time Colorado relevant.
I even thought it was
Colorado is going to make huge noise. Why? Because kids want to play for Deion Sanders. And Deion Sanders has been given the golden Willy Wonka chocolate factory
checkbook,
the golden ticket. I'm telling you, folks, Colorado, 2 years probably, he's going to get stud after stud after stud. And it ain't a bad place to play.
Right, but my point is that it's just changed the whole dynamic of college football, and we're going to talk to Luke Whippler next week.
We
was the starting center for Ohio State for 2 years.
That's going to be a trend, folks. We're going to start getting guests on the show.
We are
as we build up,
and I'm so looking forward to it. But Luke declared for the NFL draft, right? Was the center and the architect of the offensive line that projects C.J. Stroud for 2 years.
Basically a national championship.
But I just want to say that with talking about Deion Sanders, but if it wasn't Deion Sanders, would anybody go to Colorado?
No,
that's the whole
my
dynamic.
That's what I said. No, it's Deion Sanders,
and
good for him.
He's
passionate.
I don't dislike him. I'm just saying it just in my mind going, wow, you cleaned out the locker room and you bring in everybody that you want. And,
I would do the same thing.
But you can. That's the thing. Years ago, you couldn't get anybody to just transfer to Colorado unless there was a box in their front door loaded with cash.
Are you kidding me? Anytime a new coach, without social media and the internet and us being on blah blah blah, like Jim, there's 1,000 times a new coach came in, and I guarantee you the first meeting was pack your bags.
Not like this.
You don't like it? Get out of here.
This was a clean the house thing like we've never seen at that Division I level.
But they can now. That's the difference with the transfer.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Because they can.
Yeah.
But what does that do for the rest of the the Rutgers and so
We've
forth.
talked
you know.
about it.
I know.
College football is not college football.
It's a business now.
It's not the
business.
college football we grew up,
That's my point.
and I'm admitting.
So sticking with random points of interest, Steve, you and I have brought up on many shows this memorabilia, right? Baseball cards and sneakers and exorbitant amount of money for this memorabilia. So there's a Kobe Bryant jersey, which is probably going to sell for around $7 million. I mean, somebody's got that kind of a money to hang a jersey that Kobe Bryant wore for $7 million. It's got to be money better well spent than that, but it's out of control. I mean, it's where do you get LeBron James's, when he passes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the all-time leading scorer in the NBA? What's that going to be? 20 million?
It's the scale of economy.
I
If
guess.
somebody's got $1 billion.
Isn't
It's
that
nothing.
money better spent somewhere else
It's not.
to help the ills
No.
of the world? I don't know.
I'm not sure it is.
Anyway, another point, and we brought up on my monologue last week was about our little event we went to at the Ranger game, and what a great experience, a hassle getting there, but when we were there, it was great. And we want to embrace our loyal listeners and let them know that the NHL is the toughest trophy to win, and it's unbelievable. And Steven Stamkos scored his 500th goal for Tampa Bay.
You better believe it.
And it just seems incredible. You and I talking about Stamkos was the young gun, right? The Sidney Crosby, the next Gretzky kind of thing. What a warrior this guy is. Averages more than 1 point a game in his entire career.
Huge fan of Steve Stamkos.
Oh, God. Stanley Cup winner, right?
No reason. He's 32. I think.
I know.
There's no reason to think he's not going to have 800 something goals.
No, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think so. I don't think so.
I do.
Um,
He's the type of guy who plays pool. He's 40.
no, but I had to acknowledge
I'll give
that.
him 750 to 800. We've had this
Dude, he's
We've had
32
this
years old, but he's
discussion.
got 15 years in
Ovechkin
this
is
league.
breaking Gretzky's record.
He hasn't scored a goal in 2 months.
Good. He's still breaking his record.
Right, but he's going to break it as like Tim Kerr sitting in front of the net and piling it on. But
Absolutely.
we'll see. But Stamkos is a warrior. But my point was, you just brought it up. He's 32, 15 years in this league. Again, how many more years do you think he can slamming into boards against these
let me
guys?
say another 8. Averaging 40.
That's unthinkable. But I wanted to give a mention to his milestone because
The one thing I wanted to say about our experience at the Ranger game is we had the best seats you could possibly ever have.
can't have better seats.
And thank you to my boss, Jerry.
Yep.
Right? What I was thinking, we felt like we were on the ice. Okay. But as I was watching this, I was thinking of Gretzky, Lemieux, Messier, I'm thinking of all the great players. Because we were that close, right? And I was saying to myself, I'm not surprised these super talented guys, right? Because it's such a finite, area of space, right? And when they got the skill level that's off the charts, 800, like Gretzky and all this stuff. And we had the privilege, right? So Artemi Panarin, right, on the Rangers. A lot of people may not know, right? But he was in front of us for two periods, right? The Rangers came down our end, right?
Yeah.
But we were watching him. His stick handling, his vision,
The skill.
the skill is off the charts. And that's why we love the NHL. The toughness, these guys are getting crashed into the boards in front of us. Literally in front of it. Love it. Love it.
Yep.
But the talent is this. God, the NHL, folks, if you're not a hockey fan,
Yep.
really.
And I think so, Steve. I think Steven Stamkos and one of 2 active players to have 500 goals. I know Sid the Kid is one and Ovechkin the other, right?
That's it.
Yeah. So that's quite a milestone. And And then it puts into perspective what Wayne Gretzky did, right? 892 goals. I mean,
Babe Ruth.
I don't think anybody. I still don't think Ovechkin can get there, but we'll see.
And I'm glad you brought that up. That was the other thing I was thinking. Because we were so close. And I don't know if I'll ever sit this close again, right?
No.
Well, I did. I thought about Wayne Gretzky. But what's the thing about Wayne Gretzky? Everybody talks. He saw the ice 2 seconds
Before everybody else,
right? So when you're that close, it gives you even more, for me, I'm just talking me, a deeper appreciation of Wayne Gretzky, like his head up, and he sees this, and God, it's unbelievable.
And what you were bringing up with Artemi Panarin, a lot of people don't know, but he has that same vision. And I, honest to God, haven't seen somebody have that kind. Every pass he makes is to somebody's stick, across the ice, through everybody. It's,
Right.
it's awesome to
There's
see.
2, 3 guys, whatever.
Yep.
But they see the play happening, or they anticipate that guy is going to do this.
That's what makes
It's
them,
such a beautiful sport.
that's what
I
makes
love it.
them the Gretzky's, the Messiers, the Crosbys,
The Mario Lemieux, I was thinking. I
Mario
really,
Lemieux.
because I was thinking about Mario a lot because of his size, 6'6", and I'm like, why would I be surprised this guy like was as great as he was?
And he was the only one. If he was healthy, and he went through a lot of health issues and so forth, he was the only
Oh,
one
yeah.
I thought ever could have even come close to winning.
No question.
Right?
No question. I mean, the 2 most skilled players ever, in my opinion, Wayne Gretzky.
And maybe
Skill.
Guy Lafleur, if you threw
No,
that
but I'm
in.
talking like skill.
I know what you mean. Yep. So awesome. Hockey is great, and tell your boss Jerry if you can get us those tickets for the playoff game.
Yeah,
We could
get
probably
get in line.
we could probably make it.
Get in line.
Thanks again, though, Jerry.
Oh, those prime rib sliders before the game. Oh,
I
those
couldn't-
lobster tails.
I
Oh.
couldn't eat another lobster tail for 6 months. But thank you, Jerry. Steve, there was something from a random point that came up, and I wanted your opinion on this because I saw it and I go, oh God, this is what we're doing again. The Mets Hall of Fame. So they're inducting Howard Johnson,
All right.
Al Leiter. That's where exactly the look that I would expect. What did Al Leiter ever do for the Mets?
Al Leiter was a
warrants-
good pitcher.
He was a very good pitcher.
Not
We
Hall of
remember
Fame.
we
Not
saw
Hall
him.
of Fame.
We saw him pitch.
Not,
Exactly.
Not Mets Hall.
That's what I'm talking. Even Howard Johnson, Mets Hall of Fame.
Al's a good guy, though.
No, he's a great guy. He's a professional, and I think his insight to baseball
I
is
think a lot
awesome.
of that has to do with
The media side of it, right? Because they're also inducting Howie Rose
not
and
knocking
Gary
Al
Coleman.
Leiter in the slightest.
Not at all. And I remember you and I sat front row right next to the on deck circle after Al Leiter left the Yankees, and his first game was against with Billy Martin and the A's in Yankee Stadium, and Al Leiter pitched against the Yankees. But I go,
Billy Martin. Who is Billy Martin?
I think he wore number 1 for the Yankees.
One of my all-time favorites.
But-
Despite his warts.
But look, I know Steve Cohen's doing, the right thing and acknowledging
It's a
these
good
guys.
thing. I might lose sleep.
Right, but you don't have a David Wright in there first. You
They
don't have
will.
a
They
Don
will.
Clendenin
They
or a
will.
Jerry Grody
They will.
first.
They'll all get it.
Howard Johnson, Al Leiter, Hall of Fame. Thank God they didn't retire their numbers, by the way, which we discussed before, whether, Keith was a great player, Hall of Fame.
I don't have a problem with Howard Johnson being
Oh.
That's what you think of Howard Johnson.
Didn't Jeff Kent have a better career with
Jeff
the
Kent
Mets?
only had a cup of coffee.
He didn't have a cup of coffee. He had his best years with the Giants, but he got the
And the
money
Blue
to
Jays.
go to the Giants. Anyway, I just thought that was funny, Al Leiter. I thought it was a little
If
much.
Greg Jeffries gets into the Mets Hall of Fame, then I'm gonna.
But you know what? You look at Greg Jeffries' numbers; they're better than Howard Johnson's numbers. No, look it up. Anyway, so sticking with baseball, the money that they're throwing around with these guys.
I don't care.
I know,
They
but
can throw
I'm
out
just
as
saying,
much money as they want.
here's a couple of notable signings, right? Nelson Cruz, the guy's approaching 500 home runs, been in the
Okay.
league 25 years. He gets a big deal. Aroldis Chapman leaves the Yankees.
Oh, Kansas City. Oh God, they are so lucky they got a roll.
No, they got a problem on their hands. You know, this guy is,
I could
his
care
best days were way
I could
behind him.
care less about a roll.
I'm just bringing it
I
up. It's a
know.
notable signing.
Don't.
You know.
Just saying.
The Royals and the Texas Rangers, they're all trying to get back into the mix
Sure.
and be a formidable,
Good luck.
right? But you know what? I think it's good luck for the Yankees that we got rid of this guy because he was just an absolute nightmare.
I guess
last few
Missouri
years.
has better gun laws for Rollins than New York does.
Right. So anyway, we would love to hear your comments, you know, about our random points and things we bring up. And I'm sure there's Met fans out there that are saying, "Oh, Howard Johnson belongs in the Hall of Fame."
I agree.
Well, send us a no, you don't. Howard Johnson in the Hall of
In the
Fame.
Mets Hall of Fame. I do.
The Mets Hall of Fame, not
Not the
Hall of Fame.
no, what are you kidding?
I was gonna almost catch my breath here, you know.
How dare you?
But send us an email at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com. And, you know, again, let's move on to the
I
segment.
expect to hear a private text from Mr. Ted Giandana and Anthony Dellarina on the
No.
Howard Johnson Mets Hall of Fame. Okay.
Well, neither one of them would say Al Leiter in the Mets Hall of Fame is ridiculous.
I
don't
have
even
full
think Cleon-
confidence in my buddies.
I don't even think Cleon Jones is in the Mets Hall of Fame. He should be. Of course he should be. Before Al Leiter. Anyway. So Steve, let's move on to some notable passings. And of course, this is always our final segment, but again, it's an acknowledgement of people that we knew in sports or entertainment. And interesting one, and this guy, we were talking about hockey before, Gino Ojic.
Yeah.
Former, talking about heavyweight fighter in the league with the Canucks for years, beloved by them, 52 years old.
Yeah, too young.
Yeah.
I remember Gino Logic. Were you kidding?
Oh, you know, when you talked about back
You
then,
knew he was, you know, anytime you watch a Vancouver game, you knew Logic.
right, but it was the whole Ty Domi era, and they fought everybody. That's when
But he was
fighting was part of hockey.
right. But he was an important part of the Vancouver.
Oh, for
They
years.
were good teams, man. You know, again, the Rangers beat the Canucks in the '94.
The Pavel Bori era.
Right, but Gino Logic was a tough guy.
That's why Pavel Bori could skate across the ice at will, because Gino Ojic was sitting waiting in the wings.
I do hate, again, folks, back to like my health scare, and I'm not bringing it up again. But when I hear like a Gino Logic, you know, 52,
Yeah,
you know,
52.
it just gives me a deeper appreciation.
Yep.
You know, head above water type of thing. But,
Yep.
too young. Again, you know,
It's
it's like,
52.
you know, again, folks, to remind you, this is not to, it's just to celebrate these guys and remind our audience of really good, you know,
And
great
probably,
athletes.
and
that-
probably most of our listeners don't even know who Gino Ojic was, right? But he was a formidable player in the
Oh,
NHL.
absolutely.
Too young.
Look them up, folks.
And Steve, we've talked about this almost, you know, 1 week after the other about the young lives. You know, we're talking about Devin Willock from Georgia, right?
Oh, God.
New Jersey
This is
native
tough-
from
this
New
is a-
Milford,
This is a tough
right? Just coming off the celebrating a national championship. And he wasn't just a bench warmer. He got plenty of playing time.
Played in
for
the national championship game. This
Yeah.
kid, and it was going to start next year.
Yep.
Sophomore.
20
redshirt
years
sophomore.
old, tragic car
From New
crash.
Milford, New Jersey, which, you know, I could punt a football basically.
Yep,
Right.
5-iron from where we
Played
sit.
at Paramus Catholic, and Paramus Catholic was our, you know, people know our St. Joe's Regional
Rival.
They were our Thanksgiving Day rivals. So, you know, Paramus Catholic,
Mhm.
as you get older, alumni, Bosco, Berg, Joe's, Paramus Catholic, we're all a fraternity, basically,
Yep.
right? And the kid played there. This kid was 6'7", 335 pounds, didn't wear a seatbelt, 2 miles from the campus.
Yeah.
You can imagine, like,
20 years old,
if you
Steve.
can imagine the impact of that accident for a kid like that to be tossed out of that car,
And how do you,
devastating. Like, I read that and I actually I shed a tear. I was like, oh, too young. Terrible.
it was
Terrible.
almost like the first thing that came into my mind was like, when I hear this, it was like the thrill of victory, just won a national championship, and the agony of defeat,
Oh,
and the feelings his family will have forever, and what could have been.
terrible.
20 years old,
Terrible.
but, and also one of, another, I don't know, she was a recruiter for the Georgia team,
Yeah,
and
you know,
young, spry,
nice girl driving the car, or whatever.
Yep.
God knows what. Nothing, nothing crazy, whatever.
I know.
But God, what a terrible.
Yeah, one of the,
Devin Willock.
Yep.
R.I.P.
yep. Steve, another notable for us, and we watched this guy play. We watched his entire career. Chris Ford passed away,
Yeah.
right? Former Villanova guy, took him to the finals against John Wooden's UCLA Bruins. Went on, won a couple of NBA championships. He was a pretty good point guard in the Boston Celtics. I'm sure the Boston area just made sure they mentioned that, right?
Chris Ford, I remember because I went to Boston University, 83, 87. Chris Ford, tail end of his career, right, was playing. And Danny Ainge basically took over for him, whatever. But he became an assistant coach under Casey Jones. Chris Ford, definitely a couple rings. Chris Ford was the head coach of the Boston Celtics.
He was.
And
a couple other teams, actually.
Absolutely. But a basketball guy, well respected.
Yep.
And I was sad to hear that.
Yep.
Because I had the opportunity, to see Chris Ford and know about him. I really.
He was 74 years old.
But still,
Yep.
that's still too young.
Yep. And what's notable about Chris Ford? He made the first three-pointer in NBA history.
That's true. I forgot about that. But you know what? I think I would have got that if you asked me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have got that.
Good guy in the Boston community.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, he took Villanova to the final against UCLA, and close game.
Yes.
They lost. But R.I.P. Chris Ford, and to our Boston fans out there.
Absolutely.
Right? And Steve, we we live and die for sports, but entertainment world and music, right? David Crosby passed away. And Steve and I were talking about this because I was in a restaurant in New Jersey a couple of years ago, and I took a picture of a guy. It was absolutely 100% David Crosby. And people say David Crosby was eating it, kind of thing. But it absolutely was. And, if you don't believe me, send us an email at Sports with Mono and Mono, and I'll send you the picture. But anyway, 81 years old, founding member of the Byrds, and had a great career. And but you and I have always, and our brother Thomas, he was a great musician, but an absolute douche. Right, whatever. Trying to be respectful here, but he was 81 years old and he made his mark.
I'm torn on this. Listen, obviously, R.I.P. David Crosby, talented musician, but boy, come on, like a Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame resume.
But David Crosby is considered really amongst his peers.
Be careful.
Probably the biggest asshole. What? We can't say asshole?
Well,
asshole in the music business. And of course, he's famous for donating sperm for that type of thing.
Melissa Etheridge's two children, right?
But David Crosby was super talented.
He was.
Okay, his voice was outstanding.
And this is Woodstock era kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 100%.
So R.I.P. But I have a hell of a lot more favorite musicians than David.
Absolutely.
But still, a significant loss.
And this is coming off. And Steve, I think you have one more notable passing for us. And Hunter, behind the curtain here, if you could post this, because one of our loyal listeners suffered there. Look at that pup. Huh?
So I'd like to say this. I mentioned it maybe over a month ago that we have a new listener here in the DC community.
Oh.
And Miriam has been a loyal supporter of our program. And I had the opportunity to connect with her and talk to her, and she mentioned the loss of her beloved Luna. And Luna, I think, was 12, maybe even older. But
Man's best friend.
Miriam did the right thing. It's been devastating for her. She had to put Luna down. And as pet owners, we all know this,
Oh, yeah.
right? We've been there. It's the most, really, it's a very difficult. And I just
You
want
can
to,
get over a goldfish, but you can't get over your dog.
but Miriam, if when you watch a show, if you're watching now or when you do, I want you to know we are thinking of you, the whole Sports with Mono and Mono community. R.I.P. Luna.
And this is why
What a beautiful dog, though, because I'm a dog lover. We remember Casey, our German Shepherd, and we had to put Casey down.
and Bo or Norwegian elk.
Right. So it's so difficult.
Yep.
But Miriam, we're
Yeah.
thinking of you, and we wanted to acknowledge Luna, R.I.P.
Yep.
Pretty Luna.
Yep. So, folks, listen, thanks for joining us. And Steve, welcome back.
Glad to be back. Thanks, everybody.
I've missed you, and our audience has missed
I
you.
missed you.
And got to thank Hunter for pulling the strings and Rob's down in Dallas.
Hunter, Tempo.
All right. Our producer Rob's down in Dallas catching some kind of combines for some football up and coming
Oh,
prospects.
he's at a strip club right now. If you kidding me, eating a hamburger at the Bada Bang in Dallas.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email anytime. And we look forward to catching up. We got a special guest coming up next week. So we're very excited about that.
Absolutely, folks.
All right. We'll see you next week, guys.
Thanks for watching,
Enjoy.
everybody.